Hello, Crypto Juggernauts. This is Mike from Mx3 Crypto Report coming at you this week with another short video. I wanted to cover this because this is something that came to my attention recently. Some of you may or may not be aware, so I'm just going to get started. Yes, it is Web 3.0. It is something that is being developed and it is real. So I'm going to go from the Ethereum website that they literally, I'm telling you, they literally wrote my this week's script for me. So an introduction to Web 3.0. Centralization has helped onboard billions of people to the World Wide Web and created the stable, robust infrastructure on which it lies. At the same time, a handful of centralized entities have a stronghold on large swathes of the World Wide Web, unilaterally deciding what should or should not be allowed. Web 3.0 is the answer to this dilemma. Instead of a web monopolized by large technology companies, Web 3.0 embraces decentralization and is being built, operated, and owned. Let me say that again. It embraces decentralization and is being built, operated, and owned by its users. Web 3.0 or Web 3 puts power in the hands of individuals rather than corporations. Before we talk about Web 3, let's explore how we got here. The early web. Most people think of the web as a continuous pillar of modern life. It was invented and has just existed since. However, the web most of us know today is quite different from originally imagined. To understand this better, it's helpful to break the web's short history into loose periods between Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. Web 1.0, read-only. Yeah, I remember that. Early days of my career, it was often. So in 1989, at CERN, Geneva, Tim, and I hope I'm pronouncing this man's name correctly, Tim Berners-Lee was busy developing the protocols that would become the World Wide Web. His idea to create open, decentralized protocols that allowed information sharing from anywhere in the world. The first inception of Berners-Lee's creation, that's a mouthful, Berners-Lee's creation, known as Web 1.0, occurred roughly between 1990 to 2004. Web 1.0 was mainly static, excuse me, was mainly static websites owned by companies. And there was close to zero interaction between users. Individuals seldom produce content, leading to it being known as the read-only web. And that was pretty much about it, literally. Web 2.0, read-write, 2004 to now. The Web 2.0 period began in 2004 with the emergence of social media platforms. Instead of a read-only, the web evolved to be read-write. Instead of companies providing content to users, they also began to provide platforms to share user-generated content and enlarge and engage in user-to-user interactions. As more people came online, a handful of top companies began to control a disproportionate amount of the traffic and value generated on the web. Web 2.0 also birthed the advertising-driven revenue model that we all know and love today. While users could create content, they didn't own it or benefit from its monetization. So 2.0 from 2004 to present. Web 3, read, write, own. The premise of Web3 was coined by Ethereum co-owner Gavin Wood shortly after Ethereum launched in 2014. Gavin put into words a solution for a problem that many early crypto adopters felt. The web required too much trust. That is, most of the web that people know and use today relies on trusting a handful of private companies to act in the public's best interest. And you know, that always works out. Not so well, but Web3, the future. What is Web3? All right, so now we get to the meat. Web3 has become a catch-all term for the version of a new, better internet. At its core, Web3 uses blockchains, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs to give power back to the users in the form of ownership. A 2022 post on Twitter, I'm not going to link to that. You guys can do that. As a matter of fact, I'll link to this article in the description. 2020 post on Twitter said it best. Web 1 was read-only. Web 2 is read-write. Web 3 will be read-write and own. Core ideas of Web 3. Although it's challenging to provide a grid, a rigid definition, my apologies, it's Friday. My mind is on the beach right now. So I'm just going to try to be present a little more now. Although it's challenging to provide a rigid definition of what Web3 is, a few core principles guide its creation. Web3 is decentralized. Instead of large swatches of the internet controlled and owned by centralized entities, ownership gets distributed amongst its builders and users. Web3 is permissionless. Everyone has equal access to participate in Web3, and no one gets excluded. Web3 has native payments. It uses cryptocurrency for spending and sending money online instead of relying on the outdated infrastructure of banks and payment processors. Web3 is trustless. It operates using incentives and economic mechanisms instead of relying on trusted third parties. Why is Web3 important? Well, from what I just read, yeah, that's kind of why, but we're going to read on. Although Web3's killer features aren't isolated and don't fit into neat categories, for simplicity, we've tried to separate them to make them easier to understand. And here's where I am going to leave off because there is a lot more to digest. And I know you guys, as you can see it here, there's more to it than that. The rabbit hole is pretty deep. So I am actually going to go ahead and stop here, because I would like to keep this guy as short as I possibly can. So I want to thank you for tuning in. And as always, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and get those notifications so that you know when we put out these informative and hopefully helpful and beneficial videos to you. So I love you. I appreciate you, and hope you all peace out.
Tomorrow can be a better day if you're looking to get some figures for better pay. Invest in yourself, man, that is the only way. Get your clout up, 100K followers. How you do that, man? By not being a follower. How you get there, man? Hustling and bustling. Then you spice it up, put some